Hi guys, today we're gonna look about environment design painting digital course. So I'm gonna start with sketch and turning into black and white and show how that black and white could go on with the color base. So you guys might expect this kind of images, like little brushy texture, or like this one, like shape layer, more sharp, focusing on like simplicity. This one is a little bit more pastelish and then brushy textures. I think these are like ideal detail level that we could achieve. So these three are the most important standard that when I have to choose the reference photo, depth, contrast, and the light source. Based on that, I could analyze it like this, group, and spot the horizontal line. So these are like just rough 6 steps I have gone on with this demo video. As you can see, I just like rough it out with a thumbnail and then sketch, block with the shape layers, which is just like grayscale levels, and then add some details from that grayscale with the clipping mask, and then turning it into the colors. So the thing you have to keep in mind when you're doing a sketch, I want you to see the contour line and try to simplify those shape and give it like an interesting boundary lines of each groups. Also, I recommend to split a little bit of stuff on the most important chunk and get a little more simpler when it goes too far. I think when you can see the outdoor environmental design, the skies are really important because that explains light sources and the timeline and all those moods from that environmental design that should be conveyed in this frame. So with those cloud shape, with different cloud shape, you can like give such a different moods. So this is how I finished my sketch. As you can see, I could little bit thicken up the lines on the front and go loose on the back. So the next step is we're gonna turn this sketch into black and white value images. The reason why we're doing is because sometimes it's really confusing to think about colors and the value in the same point. So I want to separate them as a little bit different track, and then from that value and the shades, we could get some clue how much range we could get into the base colors. And I know that's way more safer than just jump in and color everything. So if you could turn your original image into grayscale and look at it, that will be like really helpful in this stage. The main tool I use in this step is a lasso tool. Just hit the keyboard L and you might see this like lasso gizmo going besides on your mouse cursor. Some might use the brush, but I prefer to use lasso tool way more better because it's more faster, of course, and it's more clear about thinking about the boundary, like the contour lines about the shapes. And I think that's really important. Not to get into real like brush tips so seriously, but actually thinking about the shapes. So as you can see, object on the front will have more darker value, and something goes further will get dimmer and get it blended with the sky value. So it will get lighter and lighter, and it doesn't have that much contrast in that object. So keep that in mind and try to make it simple. So it will be way more complicated contour line on the front, and when it goes further, it should be a little bit simpler than that. And I use Kyle brush tool like gouache brush tips, painting on the clouds. You could download the brushes that with the link that I sent it to you before. Kind of just like solid shape block out. And now we're gonna add some like rock cracks between the front layers. Still I use the lasso tool, but I use a little bit like texture tools, still going out on the gouache brush tip with the round one. I will let the details below the YouTube video so you can take a look. You can use a little bit more brushy and more expressive details in this stage, but still keep the simplicity level and don't go so far. And in the very first layer, it might have the strong contrast. That way it can stick it out from the other stuff. So the beauty of this lasso tool and this kind of grainy texture brushes is you don't feel it so clean, so you can feel this grainy texture in your lasso tool so it feels like less strict and actually like expressive, but kind of toned down. So you might see the same mountain, but less contrast, so keep that in mind. I keep control the lightness using Command U. You can see the lightness on that way. So don't try to rush in this step. This is like 3 times faster video, so you might feel it's like extremely fast, but actually you have to take a time and look at your images all the time. You're not just copying the image, you're kind of recreating. So before we go into the color, I would like to talk about lightness and the saturation, color hue relationships. So if you could see in this color picker images, when you go in under, the lightness will be darker, and when you go to the right side of the color bar, you'll see the saturation is getting higher. And all those long bar is indicating the hue is changing. So when I see this orange square box, I go on with this like safe area that I pick with the grayscale. So pick the colors among this so you don't go like such a non-relevant colors and struggle to blend those. This is kind of safe way. So when we go back to original grayscale, select your layer with the grayscale and hit Control or the Command, and you'll be selecting that exact layer. So with that selection, you just like change the color and refill it, the selections, and that's all. You don't really have to repaint it all again. So do you see I'm kind of playing around with the similar range of lightness in a value, but different colors and a hue, so that gives a colors and a life in this painting. So in this stage, you might have noticed separating the layers by different values or having a different clipping mask by the value is really important, because eventually you're gonna put the same color in the same value. So if there's like a different value in the same layer, you couldn't differentiate, or you could, but it's not clean as it should be in the separate layers. So we're almost hitting to the end. Just filling the colors for the skies, and by hitting Ctrl U, Command U, you can control the saturation again and the colors as well. I'm gonna rename this black and white and color, and this is how it looks. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope we could meet soon in person. Be safe and draw more. Thank you.